Welcome to the CEO Stylist podcast, where two unlikely CEOs come together and rewrite the narrative of what it means to be a CEO stylist. Yovanka Loria and Kirsten Harris are on a mission, giving stylists permission to join the movement of artists breaking the mold of what is meant to be for the hair industry and creating the life and schedule of their dreams. Fast forward through many failed attempts and lessons learned in the process, it's time to level up the playing field. It's time to call BS on what's been done before. Yovanka and Kirsten are ready to share it all, defying the odds of the industry and teaching you how to do the same.
Welcome back to the CEO Stylist. Today I have a very special guest. Should we introduce you?
I think so.
I think so. Today I have Hayley here. Now, Hayley, I love you, but I cannot say your last name.
It's Rosenzweig.
Rosenzweig. I was close. I tried to say it before. I was like, I think you need to say your last name.
Yep.
So Hayley is with me. Hayley's been working with Yovanka Loria Salon and Yovanka Loria Extensions for how long, Hayley? The last year?
Yeah, for now a year. Yep.
Nearly a year. And you're my other pregnant one.
Yeah.
That got pregnant. So you're due in a few weeks.
I am, yes.
And I'm so excited to have Hayley on. She was a little bit nervous, but I said, we can do this. It's just a girly chat and a girly conversation. And the reason for our conversation today, and I think also just to let our listeners know, because they're going to be like, what the hell's happened to Kirsten? So Kirsten hasn't quit. She's still here. But I thought it was really important to have Hayley part of this conversation. And we heated up this room because we're going to speak about a spicy topic today. This is a little bit of a cautionary tale story of bad business experiences. I think also bad human experiences of how not to be in business, but also maybe how not to be as a human. And it's funny because when I was going to record this episode, since then things have escalated or happened with that story. So it's kind of fitting that you're here today. And I think what the most important part is when someone shares their story, there's always three sides to a story, right?
100%.
So there's their side, her side, and the truth.
Yeah.
And I think you're here to be that truth, because what's so funny about this, well, not funny, it really wasn't. It's funny now, but it wasn't then. What's so interesting about this story is that you're part of this story and why you're here today, and you're part of this story when we didn't even know each other. Yeah. So I thought you could bring an element to it, an insight to the story as well, and share your insights to it and your lessons, because this really is about lessons. We're not here to bash anyone.
Yeah.
Well, publicly anyway. I think behind the scenes, there's a few people that might know who this person is, but we're not here to reveal who the person is or name any names. It's just really something that is, upsetting in business and even in personal relationships. I take my relationships really seriously. And I think this is, like I said, a cautionary tale of how this particular bad business decision or experience really not only affected the person involved, it affected a client, it affected my business, and also affected you.
It did, definitely. It really has.
It really has, but we've come out on the other side to it. So I think the whole point of this is, like I said, there's always a lesson in it. There's massive lessons. I know I'm going to share a few takeaways, and you've got your lessons as well. But I think the main thing is that someone that's listening could, definitely be going through something like this. I know in the last couple of weeks, I've had a couple of other extension companies reach out. A girl who was running a company and was like, hey, yo, what do you do in this situation? What do you do when it's toxic? What do you do when you have a bully coming after you? How do you handle it? So I think, if we can help someone walk away with on maybe how to handle it and how not to handle it, is a good start. So should we start by introducing a little bit about you before we go into it?
Yeah, let's do that. I've been in the hairdressing industry for, I'd say, about 7 years now. I started when I was 17, so I did my first term of year 12, and then I got offered a full-time apprenticeship, and I decided to take the leap and started full-time work straight from school.
So were you like, hey, I want to be a hairdresser, or this opportunity came knocking?
I always knew I wanted to be a hairdresser from when I was a little girl, but
I love that.
I wanted to finish year 12, so it was actually a really hard decision for me to leave school to pursue this. So it was almost like a big jump, because little Hayley almost jumping into adulthood. I was like, oh my god, that is so scary.
Do I finish? Yeah, because everyone's probably telling you, parents, finish school and then go do.
Well, my parents were actually really supportive. They were always like, to me and my brother,
oh, that's good.
if you're allowed to leave school if you get a full-time apprenticeship or full-time work. Like, we'll support what you want to do. So that was really good. It was just more myself. Like, I just wanted to prove to myself that I could finish it. Yeah. So made that jump, and yeah, for the first 3 months was really good, and then
everything turned to shit.
Everything just went down the drain.
Turned to shit. And I think this is a big part. I think wrapped up in this story, so many different layers.
Yeah.
Of what's not right in the industry. With, I guess, leaders and businesses and business owners, because you've had a pretty shitty experience. Definitely. We're not going to go into detail. No. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yes.
But you basically worked out 4 salons.
Yeah.
And then when you work for this person that's entwined in my story, you were on the verge of like quitting, like you wanted to get the fuck out.
I was packing my bags. I had spoken to everyone. I'm like, I'm going to go to flight attending. Like,
you're like, that's it.
This is it. I can't do this anymore.
I'm done.
Yeah. I was 100% done. But
here we are.
Then Yovanka's my little saving grace.
Oh, and you're my little saving grace. And you're my little truth in this story. So should we start?
We shall start.
Let's start.
Let's do it.
But I'm glad that you didn't quit, and I'm glad that you gave it a second chance.
Yes.
Because now we're here to maybe help someone else out there who's like, I'm fucking quitting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure it happens a lot, especially now with what's going on in the world.
Definitely.
But cut a long story short, it was a year ago. I had, so your boss at the time was one of my stockers who had first came on the scene with me in the very beginning. I think it was my like 2nd or 3rd, maybe even 4th class that I took. And this person, became a stockist, had never done extensions before, was working somewhere renting a chair, and then was able to open up her own salon, and we started to work really well together. And during the course of the period, this person who is entwined with another really good friend of mine that I don't want to mention because it's going to get a little bit, it's a little bit irrelevant, but I saw red flags. Definitely, I saw red flags. She was just that type. I've spoken about it in my last podcast where a lot of stylists, not a lot, I shouldn't say just, but they have a lot of ego. I think that's wrapped up in insecurity, and I could tell she was, just knew everything. Yeah. Just knew everything. It was a few red flags. She came on education with me a few times, actually once, not a few times, and just the feedback that I got was like, yo, what the hell, like, what are you doing? Because her energy was just really, there was something not right.
Yeah.
And I kept sweeping it under the rug. But again, because I'm just so loyal to someone, who's always been there from the beginning, that I kept kind of sweeping it under the rug. And also because of my relationship with someone else that was working with her as well at the time, I kind of just was putting up with it. But it's funny because in my gut, I just kept saying there's something not right. Yeah. And then I would find out that she would say things behind closed doors that was just so different to what she was saying to my face. Yeah. So cut a long story short, there was a couple of incidences with a couple of clients. It wasn't that many. It was just a few clients. She would ring and say, hey, yo, this hair is not right or something's not right. And I would always work with her and we were able to fix it. And you're privy to that information because you probably saw me do that, maybe a couple of times?
Yeah, a couple of times.
Wasn't really a lot of issue. And you started to work with our hair and you realised like this product is, it really is amazing.
You can't beat it.
Really, thank you. Thanks for the plug, Hayley.
You're welcome.
You really can't. And what we realise, if there's something is wrong with it, and not to gaslight, because, you hear that all the time, companies gaslighting the stylists if there's something not right. But I think me being a working stylist, I always knew what my product was capable of. So whatever issue there was, we're able to work towards it. And then it was so funny because I was just doing what I do and helping her business as much as I can. And I don't really like to say this to sound like, I don't like to say what I do for people, but I really, she really did build her business off the back of my brand.
Yeah, definitely.
And we were sending so many clients because at that point I didn't have a really big team.
Yeah.
So a lot of the clients that didn't want to wait for the wait list was going to her salon, and we were sending so many clients. You saw every second or third client.
All the time, constantly.
Was coming from where? It was coming from our website, it's coming from our recommendation. And it's so funny because our clients started to become so loyal to us. And I always say our clients have become our biggest advocates. Yeah. And it's so funny because I'm so busy doing what I'm doing that I don't really look who's doing what down the road. I've never been that type of, I'm like, if I win, I want everyone to win. I want everyone to grow. And that was the whole point of sharing this. So that I really, truly, wanted everyone to succeed and be successful in it and grow. And so funny because we sent a few clients to her, and the feedback that I was getting from clients are like, yo, I don't think this person has good intentions for you. And a few of my really, really good clients was telling me, and stupid me, I'm always like in defense, oh no, she didn't mean it, because I know what she was like.
Yeah.
She would say stupid things and be like, after I'll confront her with it, she'd be like, no, yo, that's not what I meant. So I'd always just sweep it under the rug. And they're like, no, yo, I think you need to pay, you know, that tap on the shoulder, pay attention, because she doesn't really have your best interests at heart.
Yeah.
And one of my really, really good clients was going in there for a blow dry. Little did I know, on the side, she was getting mad that they were going there for a blow dry and not booking in for a full service. And, you know, she was often getting upset at the clients. Right? Is that...
Yeah. Like, why?
Just do your best work.
Exactly.
And the clients
like,
love what you do. Like, I was that confident. Whether they want to book in with me or you, I was happy to share clients.
Exactly.
Do you know? Because some were from the, you know, other side of town where they couldn't always get here. So, and it was so funny because this one client, who I'm not going to name, but she's just a little, you know, amazing soul, who really wasn't going in there with intentions to spy, but she ended up spying, and she ended up realizing that she had these different colorings on her desk, and she took a photo of it and she sent it to us. She's like, hey, yo, what's going on? Like, is she not using your brand? And again, because I was so busy, I noticed that her sales had dropped off a little bit. And so what we did, I thought, you know what, this is a really, really good lesson. Like, at the end of the day, I don't mind if someone uses a different brand or a different product. It's going to happen, especially someone that's never experienced in extensions, and I'm all open for it. I just want people to do it the right way.
Yeah,
and if I build a relationship with someone, just fucking tell me.
Yeah, it's not hard.
It's a bit different because we did a lot of things extra for her.
Yeah.
You know, we put her a hair library on a payment plan for her. Like, I don't do that for everyone. It's just a respect thing. When you get into, you know, solidifying exclusive agreements with salons, there's kind of a mutual respect, where if you're going to, you know, merge with another company, you just tell that other person. That's all I ever wanted. So what I thought, well, you know what? She's not telling me. And I kind of did ask it, but she was being very vague about it. So we came up with a solution to send there was a couple girls that were doing it, and we thought, you know what, people that are exclusive, that we're sending clients to them, that we've got them on our website, at the end of the day, they can use another brand, but they won't get all the extra benefits.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can source their own marketing, they can source their own clients, but we're paying for all that, sending them to them, and then behind closed doors, you could be deterring them away from our product.
Yep.
So that's where the lines blur.
Yeah, definitely.
So this client sent me the images, and we just sent her a really nice email saying, hey, we've noticed your sales have dropped. You know, if there's anything that we can do to help you work through it. And we even did like a feedback link, like, here's a feedback. If you're having any issues with our hair, please let us know so we can work on our end to, you know, continuously improve our product.
Yeah.
And with that, she responded within like 48 hours and was like, hey, yo, I just wanted to say thank you so much, you know, for teaching me. I really, you know, want to take this opportunity to say thank you, but I have decided to use another brand and explore my options. I don't think it's a conflict of interest, and we still have clients who love YL hair, and I would still love to purchase your hair for those clients. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God she told me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, there's a chance.
Yeah.
There's a chance that we can continue working together. She might go off and try it. As long as she keeps it separate, I'm open to it. And I was like, thank you so much for letting me know. That's all we wanted to know. Just, this is a business decision that, you know, if you're not going to be exclusive, you won't get all the extra benefits, but by all means, we wish you all the best. Just please make sure it isn't a conflict of interest. If you're using another brand, just make sure you keep them separate.
Yep.
And it was so weird. Within 24 hours, I shit you not, a client complaint came through saying that she's had a terrible experience at this particular salon. And she doesn't know what's happening. The hair's matting. And as soon as she said the hair's matting, I'm like, our hair does not mat.
No.
If it ever has matted, it's been like a little bit of crawling, and we've been able to get to the bottom of it, that they've been using a product.
Yeah.
Because I already knew that she was now dabbling in another product, I'm like, you know what? My gut was like, I don't trust this. Yeah. Let's get the client to come in and we'll have a look. So what happened is, the client went and saw a stockist. The client was like, yo, I don't think this is your hair. So we got her to come in. Still, this is 24 hours later of her email.
Yep.
It's just weird how it came through. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is not my hair. So we ended up helping her. She was, you can imagine, that I was like, in my head, I'm like, what is happening and why is she, not using? I didn't know if the full amount was not ours.
Yeah.
So this client emailed her and said, hey, I've just got a second opinion. I've been to see you 4 times and I just had problem after problem after problem. I've gone straight to the source and now I found out that this is a non-genuine whale product.
Yeah.
Like, I feel defrauded. I feel like you've lied to me. I wanted Yovanka Loria extensions. You had the opportunity, to rectify it for me. I've gone in to see them. They've already installed a new set. So we gave her a new set. And it's funny, this person replied, and she replied in the same breath, I would never do anything like that. And then by the end of the email, she actually admitted that she ended up having so many problems with the product, and saying that's why I've gone and sourced another product because I'm having problems with Yovanka Loria hair.
Yeah.
But you've decided to put in 2 wefts or 4 wefts she said in her hair that weren't my hair.
Yeah.
to fix the problem. So
Yeah.
she's trying to fix the problem
By making a problem.
because at the end of the day, like, whatever was going on was not true, because at the end of the day, with every other problem that she had, she would have come to me, we would have found a solution.
Yeah.
And we would have fixed it. So lesson number 1 is a big lesson. And because she didn't, I believe, and in my gut I was like, okay, so here she is, she doesn't want to fork out the money to fix the problem because
Yeah.
she knew she fucked up with the color. So here she is thinking that she's going to cut corners and she's going to rectify it by using whatever product she was using at that time, put it in the client's hair by not telling the client.
Yeah.
And thinking in her mind that that was okay.
And that's not okay. And it could have been resolved so much easier and quicker if you just told the truth.
If you just told the truth. So, and this is where you're going to come in a sec, because in my gut, I'm like, because she was messaging me saying, hey, yo, can we please get on the same page? I've got this situation with a client. And I'm looking at it going, okay, so you've already decided to not give me the opportunity to fix it. Now
Yeah.
you've fucked up and now you've been caught out and now you want my backing when you've already made the choice.
Yeah.
But because I already had the email 24 hours beforehand and I had the email, I'm like 007.
Yeah.
Like, if I didn't have the emails, and now I've learned in business, because it's very different in friendships, you'll just pick up the phone and be like, hey, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
as a business, I've learned to collect my receipts.
Yeah.
Right? And just have everything documented so that if things do go sideways, we've got everything in place. But because of that little process, I had her telling me 24 hours beforehand that, hey, I love your product. I've got clients who still want your product. I don't believe it's a conflict of interest. But in 24 hours, you're messaging the client, telling the client that because you've had problems, you've had to go source another. So you're saying one thing to me and another thing to the client.
Yeah.
So not only now have you lost that client, guess what? You've also lost me.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I don't trust you.
Exactly.
And now I had to make a decision, because straight away in my head, I'm like, now this person is fucking with my brand. Because what happens if that client didn't come to me?
Exactly. You're the one that's going to have that name, that's
That reputation that I've worked so hard to build. Like you said, it could have just been fixed so easily. But because when you want to cut corners and you didn't want to fork out the money to fix it, look how much you lost.
Yep.
Because that client is now asking for a refund. She went to consumer law and was like, yep, you can give me a refund. You didn't tell me the truth. I believed I was getting this product and you gave me X. Whether it was 2 wefts, 4 wefts, because in this stockist mine, she's like, I did the right thing because some of the hair was your hair.
Doesn't matter if it's a sum or 1 piece or 1 gram, whatever, it's still not.
It's still deterring clients away and misleading clients.
Yeah.
Right? Complete misleading. Again, saying one thing to me, another thing to the client. And this is where this toxic personality comes in, because once we get into the story, we delve into a little bit deeper of how toxic.
Yes.
And it's funny because in my gut, I'm like, right, normally my nature when I build relationships is always to pick up the phone. That's always my rule.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone, have it out with a person. But something in my gut was like, you need to let this person go.
Yeah.
It's almost like being a bouncer.
Yeah.
you gotta work out who you're gonna let in and who you're gonna fucking kick out, but in the nice way.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I need to part ways, because she's actually going to be doing me a disservice. And she's not going to be helping build my brand if she's got an agenda.
Exactly.
You know, whether she was trying to build up, in that mind, I'm like, if she's using another brand, but in my gut, I was like, I bet you she's trying to do her own. because this is what people would do. They will shit on someone else's brand
Yep.
or shit on a stylist
To
in
try and
order.
build them up.
But you don't do that.
You don't do that.
Especially in the caliber of clientele that we're working with. They can see
100%.
through that bullshit. And most
Exactly.
normal people can see through that bullshit. I think I should have got a glass of water. I'm talking a lot. Tell me if I need to catch a breath.
No, you're good.
You know what? I just need to sever ties. I went and got legal advice because at the end of the day, I'm like, what do I do here? Like, this is a big deal. Like, and I'm very, very lucky that in my back pocket, I've got PR management, crisis Dom. She's always in my little, dial-a-phone, and I always call her up and I say, Dom, what's the situation? Again, I'm not really emotional, but I have to take the emotion out of every situation. I think it can be emotional when you have a relationship with someone.
Yes.
And this is where it was crossing the line because we really did have a relationship. She was very dear to me. Like, I stuck my neck out for her.
Definitely.
So it was more hurtful and disappointing.
Yeah.
But again, I had to keep the two separate. So we draw up a legal contract, a legal termination of supply, and that we're parting ways. And we just documented everything. We had everything, excerpt from her email, excerpt from because I had everything.
Yeah.
And I still said at that point, like at the end, I'm going to be seeking legal advice. And I was actually thinking in my head, maybe I should sue her. I think I need to make a stand.
Yeah.
And set the tone so this doesn't happen again. Because I'm not gonna keep allowing someone to, even think that they can get away with it.
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty big deal. Because imagine
a
how
huge
many
deal.
clients wouldn't come and tell us.
Exactly.
Especially because they're lucky in this situation. But if they didn't, and I was like, look, maybe I will sue, maybe I won't, but let me just sit on it and see how I feel. And again, I don't know if you listen to our podcast, but in one of our first few episodes, it's kind of my nature now because I'm a little bit older. I always wait for that gift. I'm like, let me just sit on it because my intention is never malicious. My intention is, how do I teach this lesson so it doesn't happen again?
Yep.
And then what are the gifts? Because I know the universe is always watching and be like, hey, I truly believe I don't fucking deserve this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also know when you go up someone that's toxic and narcissistic, which I had an inkling that this person was, more like a covert narcissist, they're probably the hardest to depict because they're so fucking clever, right? And they're so cunning and they're so manipulative and they lie, and it takes special people to catch them out. And I knew in the back of my mind, now that I've caught her out, I'm like, watch, you become public enemy number one, right?
100%.
And then also watch, because a smear campaign will come through.
Yes.
So you're like, how do I want to play this? Because how much do I want to invest in it? Or do I just leave it up to the universe and let the universe teach her?
Yeah.
So this is where you come in, my love.
Yes.
And, the special part about this story is like, wait for that gift. And how long did I wait for your call to come through? I think it was a couple of weeks.
I was going to say, was it even a couple of weeks? It
was
like,
a couple of weeks. But before we go into because you didn't call me, you got
my sister-in-law.
Your sister-in-law.
Yes.
There was a client of the salon to reach out. And at first, when it came through, I was like, am I fucking being set up?
Yeah.
What is happening? But I thought, no, trust the universe. But let me just go back, and this is where you can give me a break.
Yeah.
Catch my breath. Behind the scenes, what was happening?
Honestly, it was like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like when someone's just watching everything unfold and everyone's running in all different directions trying to like sort this crisis out, and you're just like, what the hell am I watching?
And she was quite open, like you guys knew that she didn't use our because you guys knew for 6 months.
Yeah, I feel like myself, I didn't know she was using like other products and saying it was your product probably until about maybe a month before everything came
happened
out.
yeah
But everyone else knew, and they just kept quiet. They kept telling people that this is this, like this is better than this, like full on just shitting on your brand.
Shitting on my brand and
Yeah.
saying use this one because it's better, it's cheaper, which I heard some clients say.
And cheaper is not better.
Cheaper is not better.
No.
But in your mind, as someone that's working for someone who you're supposed to look up to as a boss and a leader, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, what the hell? Like, I look up to you, and I wanted to be exactly like my.
Because you're quite close as well.
We were close, and it was actually really, really upsetting and disappointing when I heard all of this, because I'm like, I could never do that to
someone.
I couldn't do that to my worst enemy.
100%.
Like, it's just so wrong. And from that moment, I just lost all respect.
Like, you were fourth year, you weren't getting training.
Yep.
She was telling you, go learn on, what was she saying? Go learn on YouTube?
Yeah, go learn on YouTube. I remember asking, how do I, can you help me like do this specific cut? And she's like, no, we don't have time for you. Go watch it on YouTube.
Yeah. And then when you would come to her with a problem, she's like, it's just in your head.
Yeah, it's just in your head.
But
like,
this is the thing. Covert narcissism is so hard to catch because they're so clever in what they do and how they do it. Like,
Yep.
even like this was all making sense towards the end before you decided, hey, she's really fucking up her
Yeah.
relationships, and you're thinking like, I don't want to use this. Hey, you had it actually installed in your hair.
I had it in my hair and I was like, this is the worst hair ever. But what do I do?
And you're like, she's telling people it's amazing.
I remember like I had a surgery on my hand. I'm like, oh, I have to take my extensions out because, what if they need to give me CPR?
Oh my God,
So that was
stop.
my excuse to get them out.
That's so funny. Because then you're such a sweet soul and you didn't have the capacity to stand up to her.
No, definitely
And when you
not.
did, it was thrown back.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you're the problem.
Exactly.
A whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when you got your sister-in-law, she reached out and it was another message saying, hey, yo, I heard what happened at such and such. And I'm concerned now, I've had your hair and I'm concerned now that it's not your hair.
Yeah.
And again, I was like, oh my God, like, should I respond? What's happening? And I still didn't know that she was connected to you
Yeah.
at that point. And I just got on the phone with her and we walked through it. She ended up coming to meet me as well. And thankfully, it was all our hair.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just her way in
Yes.
of saying, please help me.
Yeah.
Please save me and please save my Hayley.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know about you through my other friend.
Yeah.
And I think I must have asked how Hayley's going.
Yeah.
And this is where she told me some disturbing things and was like, she's so unhappy there.
Yes.
She was actually in the dumpster just the other day. And I'm like, what? Pause, rewind. Do you want to tell us what happened?
Oh my goodness. So we were going through hair extension files and kind of similar to what we have here. We hold them for file for 6 months. We text the client. If they don't want it, we dispose of it. Well, that was that. But these clients hadn't answered and we were told to just chuck them out in the dumpster. And then we went and did that. And then this client responded saying they wanted their hair extensions in the next day. So,
and these were our hair extensions, like YL ones?
Yeah, the YL ones. And we were told I was told to go into the dumpster. And
if you didn't do it, you wouldn't get paid.
I wouldn't get paid. And of course, I need money.
Crazy. So you're like, fuck it.
I was like, what do I do? It had just been raining. There was rats running
and
around.
you're talking one of those big dumpster?
I'm not just talking about like a little,
God.
wheelie bin. It was a full-on 3 dumpsters. And it was right at the bottom and it was squashed
Hayley.
through
Oh, yuck.
And I remember climbing in there, trying not to vomit, trying not to slip on whatever the hell I was stepping on. And I remember finding it, and these hair extensions had goo all through them.
Oh my God, it's like Stockholm syndrome. Like the abuser, I would do anything. I mean, we laugh about it now, but it really isn't funny, right?
Yeah, it's good that you can laugh about it now, but definitely in that moment, I remember texting my partner, and he was going off, being like, "Why you need to leave that?
100%.
That is disgusting."
And it was so weird because I said to her, and this is the thing, I didn't even think for one thought in my head, oh, I want to get Hayley here to get back at this person.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, oh my God, this poor girl is now wanting to leave the industry. Let me have a chat, because I really wasn't looking for someone at that point.
No.
Remember?
No, you weren't.
And we had a phone call, and it wasn't even bitchy. It was more like...
It was kind of just...
real. It was so real, because it
Yeah.
was like, this is so sad that this is happening.
Yeah.
And then when you filled me in on what my gut had confirmed, because I was always like, I really want to ask you, but I don't want to be a dick about it. But I was like, no, you're sharing your story with me. And then when you confirmed it, I was like, oh my God, I kind of knew, but then it was more so about how can I make this work? Because you were so passionate. And I was like, you know what, let's get together, let's have a conversation. And when you came to me, you were literally so broken. And I was like, this poor girl, but you so wanted to learn extensions.
I did.
She didn't even let you touch extensions.
No, not at all.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this kid, I saw something in you that day. Not only that day, but when we spoke.
Yeah.
And like I said, my special, my superpower is I can see things in people even before they can see it in themselves. And that's one of the beautiful parts about this story, is that it took us a while to get there.
It did.
It really did, because you were so traumatized.
Yep.
And we only clicked not that long ago.
Well, like, what, 2 months ago?
2 months ago, I was like,
Yeah.
Hayley, you know what I think's happening? Because you would make mistakes.
I would make mistakes, yeah.
And I wanted, like, it got to a point I was like,
oh,
I don't know. And you kept saying, yo, do you think? And I was like, I don't want to scream at this girl. I don't want to lose my shit. But I just couldn't.
yeah.
Because there was something in me. I was trying to figure out ways to get through to you.
Yeah.
And one day what happened, we did get through to you. I said, you know what I think you're doing?
Yeah.
I think you're self-sabotaging.
And I remember just sitting in your office with you and Ash, and I just started crying.
Yeah.
Because it was almost like just a realization.
I was like, I think it's your subconscious mind. When you're going into situations, you're literally setting yourself up and you're saying, I'm going to fuck up. I'm going to get bashed. I'm going to get abused, or maybe not bashed, but I'm going to get abused. I'm going to make mistakes, because for so long you're on like high alert.
Exactly.
Now you know what real trauma is. Like, imagine kids that go through this, why they're set up and why they get triggered and why they condition themselves. And that's exactly, and since that day, something happened.
And
look at you. You're like one of my top stylists. You've been shining while you've been pregnant and like barely can keep your eyes open. Haven't made any mistakes. You're like one of the biggest retail sellers of all the girls. Like, you've gone from 0 to 100, and it took months and months. And you kept asking yourself, yo, do you really think I'm going to be good in hair? And I kept saying, what is it that you don't see?
Yeah.
Because you really were amazing. But it was just that self-talk.
And self-talk's such
a big thing. A huge thing. So thank you to this person.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, really. Thank you for the experience, because I think, I know my lessons in it. Do you want to share what your lessons are in all this?
Yes. So I think from this whole thing, I really realized was my self-worth. Like, you know, and as like my self-belief system. Like, you know, for so long, it was drilled into me that, you know, I couldn't do it, and I was a terrible hairdresser, didn't know what I was doing. And, you know, I just also started believing that something was actually wrong with myself. Like, not with just hairdressing, but like
in general,
something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? And, you know, I had to rebuild my confidence and like I had to talk to myself. I had to talk myself out of, you know, you're not this shit person that, you know, you've been told for God knows how long. Like, you're good, you're fine. You are literally self-sabotaging. That needs to change. So, you know, had to relearn how to be nice to myself. And like, honestly, it was really hard. I still, you know, still to this day, I have moments and I'm like...
But you catch yourself and you can turn it around. I
go into the back room and I have to take myself and I'm like, talk to myself out of this mindset, and I come out and I'm like, I'm fine. It's fine.
It's so fine.
You know what you're doing. Just
exactly.
Shut up.
And that's why it's so important. And you've seen how protective I am of energy and space. And like I say, you can make mistakes. I'm like, just don't repeat it. But with you, I knew that there was something. I knew that you're battling with that.
Yeah.
And I kept saying to you, Hayley, you really got to work on it. You don't even see how amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I see your potential more than what you see it.
Yes.
But thank God. And I'm so grateful to you that you stuck it through, because you could have been flying on a
I-
plane right now.
I'd probably be in Canberra right now.
But I was so glad, and I was very mindful of, because I could see literally the sheer terror of every time you could just see, you would just break down and you would just freeze. It was like fight or flight.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And now you don't, like, honestly, when you're doing clients, you're in your flow.
Yeah.
Like, you love it. Like, you came here as a
love it.
4th year and you didn't even know how to blow dry.
I know. I remember, like, doing your hair for the first time. You're like, what are you doing?
I was like,
I'm
bashing me. You're bashing me in the head with
every
a blow
time,
dry.
every section, boom, boom, boom.
I know, and I'm thinking, you're like, are you going to fire me? And remember, you're like, are you going to fire me? I was like, no, Hayley, I'm not going to fire you. I was thinking in my head, I was like, fuck, I've got some like Band-Aids.
You got some work to do.
I got some work to do. Yeah, I probably did lose it once. Remember, I lost it at you once, and then remember it was Christmas. We won't say what happened. It was just silly. I lost it at you, but
it wasn't even something to get upset over for like what you said to me, and I just was like,
you just fire me. And I just said to you, Hayley, if you fuck up, like, again, I didn't do it in front of a client. I took you in the back and I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And we went and spoke about it, and I was like, here's what you got to do for next time. And you're like, oh my God, is that, like, if I do get told off,
yeah, it's not going to carry on.
It's not going to carry on. Like, most toxic environments.
Exactly.
They ignore you, they go tell that person.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people are like, I can't take her. I'm like, what can't you take about someone that's up front?
Yeah.
Because you know, at the end of the day, like you've seen it now, we've all got your back.
Yeah.
And when you fuck up, you want someone to be like, hey, you fucked up. And sometimes in the stressful, it's like a cook in the kitchen.
Exactly.
You're not always going to be like, excuse me. Like it's stressful. You got 10 million things, so you get that. And
but even when it's so stressful, you say it in a way that you're not making me feel like shit.
Or demeaning you in front of the client.
Exactly.
I think that's my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah.
Is I'm very, very mindful. If, you know, there's always a way, just pull that person aside, wait till they finish. And even so then, just explain it. And everyone's got different style, like of management, like the way Ash would tell you, I would tell you, but we work together to get through it. So I'm glad that you realise that. That's a really, really big lesson.
Yes.
And what about the other lesson about not cutting corners?
Well, I just think that I can't even get my words out because I still just think it's so stupid. Like it's literally, you could have just done one thing different, taken to a different road, and this whole thing wouldn't have happened. Like I would, you know, I would probably still be there. I would, you know, like I probably wouldn't still be there, but you know what I mean. Like I wouldn't have lost that absolute respect for you.
That's
like,
right.
I wouldn't, you know, hear that name and be like,
Get
oh my
all
god, like
demented.
literally. So,
Yeah. Oh my God, I haven't even shared what happened in the last few weeks.
no, you haven't.
Can I keep going on with this story?
Yeah, you got like 10 minutes.
All right.
Buckle
So
in.
it's funny because, again, this story, we haven't heard from this person in a year.
Yeah.
Now, a situation happened, another stockist, another client of ours who is a pretty, you know, has a pretty decent following on, I think, TikTok.
Yeah.
Kat was coming in here. We did 3 rows, wanted amazing hair. We did 22-inch. And she's from the other side of town, and I didn't realise she couldn't get in here one day and booked in randomly with this salon.
Yeah.
Not realising it's one of our old stockists. What happened is she was booked in with one of the stylists there, and the stylist was bashing our name, bashing our product, telling the client, like lying, saying that she had the wefts were not done correctly, saying that she had bald patches, made this client feel really, really terrible. The client took out the hair.
Yeah.
And then she realised, she's like, hang on a minute, like I went and checked my hair, there's no issues with the hair, called the salon. There was a few issues between them. I don't know exactly remember what happened.
Yeah.
But she was doing some TikTok lives.
Yeah.
And was apparently recording TikTok lives in there, and they put a post up or something saying something about her TikToks. Instead of calling her up personally and being like, hey, if you got a TikTok live, can you just be mindful you're not, you know, filming someone else. So she had booked back in here and told us what happened. And I was still very respectful. I was like, oh, babe, I wish you had told me that's just one of our old stockists. She said that she was going to write a negative review. Like, I'm not even driving this.
Yeah,
I'm just getting the information. And she left a negative review on their page. And then the owner had called her to try and work it out. And our client was like, you guys fucked up. You know, you were completely not just making me feel disrespected, but you disrespected Yovanka Loria.
Yep.
Like, I love that salon. I told you guys I was happy. Like, dissing someone else to try and win a client over is not okay.
No.
And this, you know, owner was like, I'm so sorry. What had happened is that this particular client was like, everything was recorded on the lives. Yovanka knows about it. I've also let her know about it. Like, I think, you know, you guys shitting on another brand is not going to do you, it's going to do you a disservice.
Yep.
And she said, I've actually got, I have to find if I've got the lives, because I think on TikTok you can save them as well.
Yeah, you can.
And whatnot. And what's funny enough, this salon owner who we're talking about reached out a couple of weeks ago, right? And I was like, what the hell? Like, why would she even be reaching out to apologise to me?
Yeah.
And saying, you know, apologise, I don't stand behind it, it's not part of my values. And I'm like, not part of your values. Like, it's funny because every other client that's come in has said what you've said about us. It's not just you guys that were telling me.
Yeah.
It, you know, it has been...
It's been confirmed by
It's been confirmed by multiple people.
Yeah.
That, so she was reaching out. Our first message, I kept it really short and sweet and said, you know, thank you for reaching out. Thank you for letting me know. At the end of the day, this is more, you know, this is worse for your reputation than it is mine. But I'm waiting for the videos before I, you know, send it to my lawyer. And she was like, I'm waiting for the videos too. Going on this rant, like over apologizing, waiting for the videos too, so that she can discipline the stylist. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hang on a sec, why would you need the videos to discipline? Wouldn't you just discipline the stylist?
Exactly.
And she was like, I don't believe that we should be speaking about someone. And I'm like, now you're like pissing me off again, because I'm like, well, hang on a sec, where was my apology? Where was my apology? And I actually replied and I was like, hang on a sec, are you apologizing because your ass is on the line? Yeah. Where was my apology when you did the same thing to me? Mm-hmm. And then she kept going and was like trying to explain. Yeah. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to call her up. What did I say to you? I'm just going to call her up, because this is now going around in circles.
Not getting anywhere.
It's not getting anywhere. Not that I wanted to make things right, but I'm like, maybe I'm just going to call her and just have my one last say and be like, hey, you fucked up and here's why you fucked up. Because in text, it does get lost in translation.
It does,
And again, I thought, you know what, let me just sit on it. Again, my head's telling me to do it, but my gut is telling me stay the fuck away.
Yeah.
And it was so funny, 2 days later, and after you girls were like, yo, be careful, like, you know what she's like, she'll say one thing, and I was like, yeah, because it's been a year and I forget how these toxic narcissists operate, like, because you don't have them front and center anymore.
Exactly.
You forget. And then I went to a naturopath appointment, and it was so funny. I was just sitting there waiting for my appointment, and one of the girls was like, hey, Yovanka, you don't recognize me. She said, I used to be a salon coordinator for this salon such and such a while ago. We've only spoken on the phone, but I've never met you. And I was like, oh my God, like, she was just this cute little angel. And I was like, oh my God, that's so bizarre. Like, it's funny how the past keeps coming up. In the last month, I said, I had to move away. She said she moved away from that salon. She said it was so toxic. And I said, I know, darling. I said, it was, I'm glad that you're in a happy place, an amazing place. And I said, I've had to move away from her. And I didn't even ask her anything, but she said, like, she was talking so much shit about the staff there. She was talking shit about you. So I'm just getting confirmation.
Confirmed again.
Getting confirmed, like, I can't get away from this. Even though I'm not actively looking for it. It's like the universe is saying, do not fucking reach out. Be that bouncer and keep people out. Yeah. So it was funny. And then from there, just weird, how much weird shit has been happening on social media. So this is like when I get into my lessons, this is what I want to speak about being bullied, because there's covert narcissists. They pretend that they've got your back or they're nice to you, but they're really public enemy number one.
They really are.
So what was happening on TikTok? We were posting some stuff and there was all these weird random things attacking myself, not even the business or the hair, was actually attacking, going, I hear you sue small businesses, going, and I'm like, something smells fishy. Yeah. Because the only business that I've ever threatened to sue was that particular salon. Yeah. And it was this person that was working for her got in trouble because she was talking smack about us, and now this is exactly MO how they retaliate. Yeah. And then even a few days later, again on Facebook, like I don't hang out in Facebook chats at all, but there was an anonymous who went in and was like, hey, I want to remain anonymous. I've had bad experience with these extensions. They only last, blah, blah, blah. And then in the comments, these two were having conversations, and the anonymous was asking that salon, hey, do you do Yovanka hair still? And I'm like, well, hang on a sec. If you're anonymous and this salon's going in the chat, hey, come see us. Yeah. We've got amazing hair. But this anonymous is asking this person, hey, do you still do Yovanka hair? I'm like, oh my God, this is fucking, like, this is sus. I can just see through shit. So my friend was like, yo, I think you need to join this group and just go in the group. And as a business owner, just be like, hey, I'm so sorry that you've had such a bad experience, and offer them to come in. I was like, sure, I can do that. Mm-hmm. Let me do that. So I try to join this group. I get rejected from this group. And I'm like, the group won't let me in. Like, what is happening? And me, I'm like oblivious. I'm like, let me try again. Then they fucking block me.
Oh my God.
And they block me from this group. And I'm like, okay, it's a community group with like 4,000 people and I'm getting blocked from this group. Yeah. I'm like, okay, now this is like really sus. Yeah. So again, like, this is what bullies do. They will try slander you. They will try, hurt you on the side. They will try spin the story around. So anyone that's listening, anyone that's in a friendship circle or in business, my bottom of the story is, here's my take on it. And here's my lesson. It doesn't matter where you are in life or whatever level you get to, there's always going to be someone trying to cut you down. And at the end of the day, what happened with you? Look at it. You made it your problem as if it was your fault. Yeah. And when you're a good person, I did that too when I was younger. So when it happens, you're like, oh my God, what did I do? Like, what did I do to deserve it? It almost questions your sanity.
Yeah.
And you question yourself.
100%.
Right?
100%.
So this is the biggest takeaway is don't let them affect you, who you are, who your true character is. That will come through.
Yes.
And the right people like you and other clients will see it. Because when it happens, you're almost like, you know, even me speaking about it in a podcast, like on social media is not the right platform to clap back.
Yeah.
Right? But this is more for a podcast or a book to be like, hey, this is the bullshit that you got to deal with behind the scenes. And I feel quite comfortable sharing it on this platform. Like I said, not that I'm going to reveal the names, but this is, you know, the things that you would go through. And I think the other big lesson for me is, I always say, if anyone else is going through this, the classic thing for me is always outwork, hang on, let me get this one. I wrote it down. All right, so the best advice from me is outwork, out-improve, out-strategize, and outlast anyone.
Yeah.
And I think once you do that, how powerful is that? If you want to
powerful.
reclaim your power in it and not let someone else bring you down, I think for me, that is the biggest thing, is to not lose your sense of self and not back down. And also, I want to share, there was a book that I want to read. I haven't actually read it yet, but there's a book called Slay the Bully.
Yeah.
It's called Slay the Bully. So I'm going to actually drop it in my notes.
Yep.
And it actually tells you how to deal with like narcissists or bullies in there and how to win.
Where was that one? I needed it.
I know, but slay is abbreviated for something else, not actually like slay, like what the new like
slay girl,
like slay girl. It actually stands for something. So I'm actually going to drop that in the show notes, and hopefully someone else listening can shed some light, and hopefully that we've been able to
help someone at least.
Yeah, help someone at least, and come speak to us. Come speak to Hayley.
Come speak to me. I'm full of stories.
If you're in a toxic environment, get the fuck out. With these toxic people, you cannot win.
No, you can't.
And like me, if you think that they're going to change, don't let them in, because they will pretend. You know how that saying, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer? I never understood that.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you want to keep them close? That energy just spills over.
100%.
Right? Get them the hell away from you. If you have family that's like that, I can't tell you what to do, but just become so busy, become so amazing that you really become untouchable. I think that's a good key takeaway. What do you think, Hayley?
I love that, and I wish that I had that advice when I was a year ago.
But it's never too late.
Well, I feel like I've definitely taken on that advice, and you know, in my own work and my mental health and my private life.
And now look at you, you're sharing this with other people. You're teaching other people.
Ask me a year ago, like, this never would have happened. Like,
of course.
Not ever did I think I'd be on a podcast with you talking about my trauma.
But living through, and not only living, but you're really thriving. You're actually thriving.
I feel like I'm thriving as well.
I feel like you're thriving. And now when you become a mum, you're going to become, you're going to become this massive, not massive like that, but just this strong mama bear, even more so. And then I can't wait for you to come back from maternity leave.
I can't wait to come back.
And just keep killing it. So thank you so much for being on this podcast and being that truth.
Me.
And being part of this story and not being afraid to give us a second chance.
Yes. Well, thank you for giving me a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chance.
Sixth chance. We got it on the 8th one. That's all that's all that matters.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you. Bye.